because there's a pretty great blueprint for how to fail. You can succeed in so many different ways. There's money around every single corner. You just need to know where to look and how to look more so. But there's a very easy way to guarantee your failure. Not having proper security in your transactions, not vetting your partners well enough, getting into a deal, even if it's the best deal with a shitty partner, it's just not going to end up well. You're not going to be taken care of. And there are plenty of other mistakes you can make, just not doing enough research, not doing your, for example, UCC searches. It's very easy to find information, and it's very easy to move forward without information that you can find easily and should have found easily if you were paying a little bit more attention. Now, separately to that, we are, a multifamily office. I don't come from this world. I come from, by education, I come from the world of politics, and by trade, I come from the world of real estate. That's how I started out as a realtor. And there's a lot of odd overlap between those two that, I often find that a lot of people in this space, in business in general, kind of ignore the political side of things. But and I'm not going to even ask for a show of hands, because I can guarantee you every single person in this room was affected by all this nonsense ping-ponging that went back and forth about the Corporate Transparency Act. In some way, shape, or form, every single person in this room was affected, and it's a nightmare to try and bounce back and forth. But those are the kinds of huge things that you may ignore because they're political and it's not your world, but it very much affects you. Or we can talk about, like I had mentioned yesterday, President Trump's plan to bring back 100% bonus depreciation. That's going to be an incredible political shift that directly impacts specific parts of the real estate market that very heavily rely on that kind of property, like gas stations or car washes. Now, in real estate, for deals in general, because we are looking for a lot of private credit as well, and a lot of venture. I'm really trying to shore up the private credit, especially because a lot of my families are in that position of G1 to G2. They're looking to exit their businesses, and their portfolios require a little bit more high grade fixed income rather than appreciation-focused investments. Although their kids are exactly the opposite. They need a little bit more appreciation and to understand how difficult it can be to create wealth and add value. It's easy to find a deal that looks great on paper, but then there's one or two small things. Maybe the partner is a little bit sketchy, or maybe you can't understand the full story, but it looks great on paper and you want to go into it anyway. I would say the biggest piece of advice, and I really don't have all that much, but the biggest piece of advice that I can share is to not be afraid to say no. We're constantly tempted by people who are not as serious about their business as we would like to be, and are not as knowledgeable about their business as we may potentially be. And in my opinion, it's, why would you ever give your money to somebody who doesn't know what they're doing as well as you do? Because you should just be doing it, at that point. Apart from that, I really do enjoy Jeff Bezos's concept of the two-way door versus the one-way door. The way he puts it, about 70% of the decisions you make are two-way doors, to where, if you go through it, you can backtrack. It may be a little bit of a pain and it may cost you some money, but it's not something that's going to be destabilizing to your business if you backtrack that decision. And he says about 30% of those decisions are one-way doors where you really can't go back. In my opinion, that's a lot more like 90% to 10%. There's so much creativity that you can find in odd places that can really save you from a bad situation if you recognize that you yourself are in a bad situation, and there are ways around it.
Right, right. And I think in the family office space right now, there's a big conversation surrounding the wealth transfer that's coming from generation to generation. And I think that's where you find a lot of those opportunities and, relating to that cause and effect and that silver wave that we're going to start to see from Gen 1 to Gen 2 or Gen 2 to Gen 3, where their interests change up.
If you are a founder, raising capital, developing real estate, or you're an investor, would love for you to get involved in the Family Office Club. I've run this community for 18 years now. We've hosted 300 live events. We have 17 million social media group members and followers. We have the #1 YouTube channel on family offices. We have the #1 most popular podcast on family offices. You can learn more about us and our membership options at familyoffices.com. We have 30 in-person events planned in 2026 and another dozen events this year. Please go to familyoffices.com to learn more.